welcome to the Kryptonaut Podcast. I am Mark Storrs, and with me, as always, is
Chris Carcielli.
and
Robble Stillskin.
Robert's
Oh, shit.
like that. Okay,
Weave me
cool.
some shit into gold immediately.
Robble.
I
I need a baby.
Barney
I
Robble.
want a baby.
All right.
Jeez, all
Thank
right.
you for joining us. As always, thank you so very much to our patrons over there at patreon.com
Fucking A right.
/Kryptonaut Podcast.
The best.
For both the $1 and the $5 tier, a couple weeks ago, we launched a Discord server.
Which is ridiculous.
Still trying to figure out exactly what it is, but thankfully there's some good patrons over there giving me a hand with it. It's a cool little community, so if you are on the Patreon, that is available to you. So I highly recommend everyone go check it out. I'm in there occasionally chatting. I'm going to get Rob and Chris some logins so that they can get there and start chatting as well. And it's going to be a good time. We got our own little cool community hanging out there, so check that out.
It'd be nice to talk.
Yeah,
to folks.
definitely.
For
definitely.
real.
So let's do some Patreon shout-outs. Robert.
Okay. Let us begin with Michael Schwader.
Thank you so very much, Michael.
Eric K.
Awesome, Eric. What up?
Austin Barcier.
Thank you so very much, Austin.
Lakota Paul Harris.
Thank you very much, Lakota.
That's nice. That's a nice name.
I like that.
Michael Eisberg.
What's up, Mike? Thank you so very much.
Nick Sandin.
Yeah, Nick. There you go.
Fucking Nick.
Fuck yeah, Nick.
God, it's about time.
Yeah.
I was wondering when, and now is when. So thank
now
you.
is when it
Nick.
happens.
B.
Yeah,
Not
B.
the letter, but the little black and yellow striped
Yeah,
insect.
hell yeah, B.
The striper fanned insect.
Yeah.
Botched human.
What up, botched human? When I
think
saw
you're
that come in,
perfect the way you
I
are.
giggled. I was like, oh, botched human.
Botched.
Jordan Slamsey.
Oh, actually, Jordan. I was just talking with Jordan over on the Discord. What up, Jordan?
Well, no shit.
Yeah.
All
See,
right, all right.
small
There it
world. Unlisa Webb.
It's Alyssa Webb.
Lisa.
she-
You know what? You know what? My eyes are a little beef. That's a UH, not a UN.
You said Unlisa.
I was
like,
looking at
as in not Lisa.
The actual name, I swear to God, is spelled Alisa, and I would have pronounced that Alisa.
Right.
I didn't need the phonetic help, but then when I read the I'm like, oh, I guess it's but now I'm a fucking moron.
Oh,
and you're
man.
gonna get, you know what? I'm gonna start from scratch. Here it is. It's exciting for all of us. Alisa Webb.
Thank you, Alyssa,
yeah.
and thank you for the pronunciation
Ms. Webb.
that just totally tripped
that
Rob
just
up.
totally fucked me up. I would have read it fine for one. Harishikesh Mahendravada.
Yeah,
Whoa.
hell yeah, Harish Nakash. Fuck yeah.
You know what? This
Dang.
is a cold read, and I hope I nailed it. If not, you know the deal. But thank you so much.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Jennifer Purcell.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Matt Eater.
Yeah, man.
Perfect.
Stanton Harper. Oh my
yeah.
God. If you're not an
Stan.
attorney at law, you are wasting your life.
Dude, Stanton Harper. He's your DWI guy.
Oh my God, totally.
yeah.
Personal injury fucking attorney.
Yeah.
He's a lot of things. You know
You gotta-
what? When you get done wrong by your significant other, Stanton Harper.
That's right. There you
This is
go.
when you go to. Spencer Robertson.
Hell yeah, Spencer Robertson. What's up?
The Stego's wife.
What up?
If you're married to a Stegosaurus, bless your heart.
whoa.
That's got to be some rough loving.
The Stego's wife.
Brie Meteljan, or Meteljan. I don't know.
You know what?
I might have gotten it right in one of those, and if I didn't, well, again, the deal.
Yeah.
Send us
Let us know.
the. But it's a beautiful name, and I
It
love
is.
a random J. A random J.
It's a random
is just
J.
great.
Yeah, it's dope.
So Bree, let us know if we got it right. If not, we'll do it again. And either way, welcome to the Patron Club.
Thank you so very much.
Eddie Arafat,
Yeah, Eddie.
Eric Festa,
What up, Eric?
Dorcamus Prime.
Yeah, I love when people put names like that. They're the best.
I feel like you nailed that one.
You did, Dorcamus Prime.
A garbage person. Actually, no, I knew that one. A garbage person.
Oh,
We had botched human and a garbage person. I'm like, oh, I love these fucking names. It's great.
Self-deprecating monikers.
You are a beautiful person. Thank you, a garbage
regardless.
person.
Yeah, absolutely. Same with you, botched. You're
Fuck
flawless
yeah. You're
the
all
way
beautiful.
you are.
Thank you.
Tia,
What up, Tia?
Tia.
Yeah.
Joshua,
Yo, old Josh. What's happening there, Josh?
Josh,
Fuck yeah.
Rune Snyder.
Yeah, Rune.
Old Rune
What
Snyder.
up?
Lives down by the tracks, tells your fortune. Rune Snyder. Ruined Truth.
Oh, Ruined
Oh, man.
Truth. It's like a 90s hardcore band.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
my God,
that's
totally.
brutal
Fucking
core.
hell, what up? We're
They
fucking
played
Ruined
at the 4-H
Truth.
club. We fucking paid $5. It was worth it.
That was actually Brutal Truth, but yes, no, Ruined Truth would have opened for Brutal Truth.
Oh yeah, I mean,
There you
it's
go.
the same thing. Oh, it's
Fuck
not,
yeah.
but still. CB,
CB. Yo, CB, what up?
like the radio, but not. Chelsea Gilmore.
Hell yeah, Chelsea.
I feel like that's the name of a character on the WB.
Could be.
Like totally a young,
Well,
feisty
it's the Gilmore
young
Girls.
lady who's
So,
doing her thing.
Yeah.
It's the missing
Falling in
Gilmore
love with the
girl.
wrong guy, but has a heart of gold.
Yeah, totally.
Chelsea Gilmore. Matthew Byram.
Thank you, Matthew.
Christopher M. Hay.
Hey, Christopher, what up?
Hey.
Chris with a K. Phillips.
Hell yeah. All right, real quick. I got 2 corrections I got to do. All right. Carrie. We gave Carrie lots of shout outs. We did not nail her last name.
Still? Still?
It is Carrie Veroida.
What? I wish I remember what
Oh.
we did say, but
I think
Veroida.
Veruda. I think
Veruda.
we may have said
Veruda.
Veroida at one point, but it's Carrie Veroida. Veroida. Carrie, thank you.
Thank you.
Carrie's awesome. She's also she's up there in the Discord hanging out. She actually she posted a couple things up where she was drawing pictures of us.
Oh, God bless
Yeah,
her.
on Facebook. So thank you so very much, Carrie. And then we have Nicole Saderquist. Thank you, Nicole.
Saderquist.
Thank you, Carrie. There are your corrections. We are sorry we cannot pronounce names. As always, if we fuck your name up, let us know. There you have it. That is Patreon. The list was a little bit longer than usual because we had a week off. I went camping. I turned 40, and I got a wisdom tooth removed.
And you fought bears, as you always do.
Did not
As
f-
you always do.
You
Did
get
not-
high and you fight cubs.
Nope.
What is the first and
You
last
challenge.
thing
It's
do
the
it.
cub
Chris
challenge.
said to you?
I'm
And
not.
I said to you before you left, don't get eaten by a
That-
fucking
that-
bear.
yeah.
Don't fuck with bears.
Don't get high. Don't do
I'm-
the cub challenge.
I'm here. It was fine. My
you,
camp.
you challenged an animal. I know you did.
I didn't challenge you. I just took pictures. I
Dude, you were
spotlighted and
almost
took pictures
attacked
of it.
when ass over tea kettle on a picnic table. It was going to be a 2-man pod, and tragedy would have ensued.
No, everything was fine. Everything was good. The bears all ate. The biggest problem was the
Bears all
raccoons
ate.
and my wife's inability to keep a spotlight on the raccoons because they got very close. I may have been feeding them bread.
Well, what would you expect
Because
at that point, you idiot?
They're adorable.
Yeah, I know that, but you don't fucking.
They
come
lived.
on.
They lived in a tree. The
Okay.
2 of them lived in a tree, and they came down together. And
So
I was like, "Oh."
The friendship
It was the
challenge.
friendship. Yeah. It wasn't the cup challenge. That was the friendship challenge. So, yes, we were off for a week there, so we had a backup of some Patreon shout-outs. So thank you all so very much for your patronage. We appreciate it. The pictures of those bears are actually on my Instagram
I saw.
stores. You can check that out. There's some cool. I also put some up on the Facebook group, and I believe I put some up on the Kryptonaut podcast page. So, and a couple more weeks, boys. Me and the family are going back there for Halloween in the Adirondacks.
That's that? Do the bears dress up?
Yeah, they dress up while they eat you. It's
Dude,
a fucking awesome time.
Wow.
I get to take the cubs trick or treating against their mother's wishes.
Yeah, that always works out for the best.
Totally.
No, seriously, what happens and why is it in
Yeah,
the
I know. I'm like,
Adirondacks?
what, for Halloween?
It's just like the whole. It's a big campsite, so they
Yeah.
have like a pumpkin carving contest, a costume contest, trick or treating, shit like that.
Oh, that's great. So instead of the neighbors you know and love and live next to, so you have to trust that they're going to treat your kids
Yeah,
right. It's
the
a random assembly
right.
of strangers that can throw fucking needles and
Murder.
curses at your children. That's great. In the middle of the woods where they can get away with it.
Is it
Phenomenal
your mini
idea.
murder bar?
Yeah, that's
Enjoy it.
and don't forget the cubs.
And don't forget the
Who's
cubs.
gonna bring the who else but me is gonna take the cubs out to trick or treat?
Nobody.
Thankfully, on a serious note, there were no cubs, but there were definitely some bears who were all very well behaved. By the way, I will say that.
No, they're
So,
eating people food and up in your shit. They're
that's-
dangerous.
That's you know what? People should know better. Honestly,
I think they go
they
for
didn't eat my food.
they go for fish if they can.
Yeah, they're fine. Whatever.
Listen, I like a wild bear.
I got a kick out of watching them tear a bunch of camps apart because I was like, you people should not be cooking at 9:30 at night. You kind of deserve this.
Okay,
Sorry.
all right.
Yeah, exactly. I did. And there is a picture of it. This one bear, and it trashed this table. His entire family dinner was out, and it fucking wrecked a 12 or a White Claws. It fucking trashed
That might
them.
be the
Okay.
sweetest
It
irony
fucking
ever.
trashed
Right now,
them.
I'm all
So
team
you
bear.
join the bears in trashing other people's sites,
No, I
and then you
should have,
Stole the
man.
All
White
right.
Claws, yeah.
I totally should have.
and then befriended some raccoons.
I totally should have. All right, let's
So
get
what are
on
we
with the
doing?
show
What are we
here.
doing here?
This episode we're talking about the grinning beings of Gorbio.
Yes, we are.
This is coming to us from France.
as the best stories often do.
France. All right, let's get started with, in the mid-1950s, a lone man walking across the picturesque terrace of Cote D'Azur, France, stumbled across a pair of veiled humanoids working on a large domed discoid object. Little could this unsuspecting eyewitness have imagined that he was about to be sucked into a repugnant rendezvous with a pair of terrifying trespassers from another world.
Another fucking world.
Wow.
Another world.
Don't you dare close your eyes.
I have a new favorite term, repugnant rendezvous.
Yeah. No,
It sounds
I mean,
like
Dude, that's fucking.
it sounds like a bad Tinder date.
it's probably, it's totally a Tinder date gone awry.
Got a repugnant rendezvous.
that's
here.
pretty gross.
It's fucking gross.
To date
dude.
it
Yeah.
back like another 10 years, that's a weird Craigslist hookup. That is the worst decision you could make. Literally 95% of the time it was going to be a serial killer.
Dude, we
Or
look,
worse.
dude, we all lived in the Yahoo personals for a minute.
Oh, we did?
It happens.
It took me places I'm
We
not
did.
pleased about.
I know. I was there.
I mean, I don't regret it so much that I wish it never happened, but boy, I'm so glad that was temporary.
Well,
and
thankfully, we're
short-lived.
all here today, and we're all happy and safe, and we're
Yeah, we
doing
are.
a podcast about
You know?
things that might not exist. So let's do it.
So the song tells us. All right, let's get back to France. We haven't been here, I don't know, maybe since Dragon Y'all. Maybe since I
Yeah,
don't
I
know
think,
when.
I
shit,
think it was
alright.
Dragon Y'all.
Oh no, it was the fucking field of helmeted frogs. Whatever that
yes.
was.
No, it's the weird
Oh,
humanoids.
I love French cases. Okay. This creepy yet captivating case was first chronicled by noted French ufologist Jean Chassin in the UFO publication Lumières dans la Nuit. I'm doing my best to say this shit right.
That's legit.
Number 126 in June of 1973. The grand French ufological publication, better known in the English-speaking world as Lights in the Sky. And you remember, I think both of our other French cases came from this.
Yep.
The English-speaking world would have to wait a few more years before being introduced to this eerie account, which was finally translated in August of 1975 in the influential British ufology journal Flying Saucer Review. Again, something we've used many times. Volume 21, number 2, under the unassuming title, A New French Humanoid Case of 1954. Its provenance established. We shall continue. Following its initial exposure, this compelling case seemingly fell into obscurity, presumably lost in the expansive archives of more famous close encounters. But on merits of sheer weirdness alone, this truly bizarre encounter deserves another look. The event in question began at precisely 2:40 a.m., sometime in the spring of 1954, when a young married gentleman who asked to be referred to only as Mr. B. We're dealing with Mr. B now.
Perfect.
We're not going to know his real name.
Okay.
Buford T. Justice. I'm giving it away.
Oh, all right.
Clearly,
All right.
that's what we're dealing with.
Mr. Butt.
Mr. Butt.
Yeah, you like that?
Mr. Balls.
Oh, my God.
Mr. Balls.
With
yeah.
7 Z's.
8th grade forever.
What's up, Mr. Balls?
What's up there,
You would
Mr.
have been better off
Balls?
telling us his fucking name.
Yeah, really. Now it's going to be guessing balls, butt, boobs, Mr. Boobs.
Boink.
Boink. Wow.
Fucking Mr. Boink.
We are fucking children.
We are.
Jesus Christ.
It's the better
This is
part of our
terrible.
charm.
We're god awful.
Mr. B was taking a leisurely stroll homeward on an isolated path leading past the beautiful homes and terraced gardens on the French Riviera, not far from the quaint village of Gorbio, which was nestled in a valley overlooking the sea. We're talking like the kind of shit you dream about. It's like honeymoon fucking.
This is some
Yeah,
bougie, this is
yeah,
some bougie
yeah,
shit
yeah.
right here.
It's bougie as fuck.
Fuck bougie. All right.
Although the night was dark, the moon offered enough visibility for Mr. B to safely negotiate the trail. It was then that the peaceful silence of the morning hours were shattered by a sharp clanging noise which the witness compared to a hammer striking an anvil. That's some shit at
Okay.
2:40
Some
in the morning.
blacksmithing randomly.
You know, random.
Yeah.
Mr. B was startled, but not overly concerned, and chalked it up to the work of a handyman with a penchant for late nights and an utter lack of concern for his neighbor's sleeping habits. The man continued on his way another 60 to 80 feet when his ears caught another sound, that of odd, indecipherable voices whispering in the darkness ahead.
The handyman. That's
the
right.
mysterious blacksmiths
right.
of
Handy.
Cote D'Azur.
At 3 in the morning.
Mr. B paused, more intrigued than afraid, but he could see no indication of lights or any other sign of human activity. But, as he would soon find out, humans would have very little to do with the strange sounds. After a moment's hesitation, the young Frenchman continued on his journey, but this time the fates would intervene as he suddenly discovered that the path ahead was impassable due to a landslide of earth and rocky debris. Not to be deterred, Mr. B changed direction and climbed down a dry stone wall onto a terraced parcel of private property en route to his house. The first thing the trespasser noticed upon entering the terrace was a decayed wooden gate that hung open as if inviting him to enter through its gaping timber maw. Mr. B, with confidence befitting his age, strode through without pause and made his way down a stone set of stairs to the lower terrace. It would be at this point that, in the words of investigator Jean Chassin, Mr. B's strange and distressing adventures began.
It's the worst Netflix series ever, Mr. B's Strange and Distressing Adventures.
Oh well,
No, it's actually not
or
such
the
a terrible
or the
title.
best.
I don't know. It sounds like a bummer. I don't know.
At the base of the staircase, Mr. B froze in shock as he was, and I quote, confronted to a display he was far from expecting. Standing just 30 feet before him was a luminous object quite unlike any he had ever seen. Chassin described the object in his report. It was a machine of discoid shape, more convex on the top, and carrying a small dome in its top. So, curved at the top with another dome atop of it.
Classic UFO.
Classic
structure.
vintage saucer.
Yep.
The left part was shining like gold. Just the left part. This will not be important later. It had a diameter which he estimated as 16 feet, a thickness in its center of approximately 4 feet, and it stood 3 feet above the ground, roughly. Mr. B is unable to remember if the machine was or was not posed on feet. End quote.
Okay.
So it just could have been floating there.
This could have been floating.
Could have
there.
been.
Cool.
Could have been doing its own thing.
Could have been.
But as bizarre as the seemingly self-illuminated jewel-like object may have been, it would be the humanoid entity that was preoccupied with it that struck Mr. B to the core. According to his description, the creature was approximately 5'2" in height, very thin, and this is a quote, and of harmonious proportions. Because the French can't say anything that's not fucking poetic,
Yeah,
eloquent,
harmonious.
awesome.
So
Of harmonious proportion.
I'm stupid. So explain to me harmonious proportion.
Does that mean well?
Well proportioned. Like think of
Right.
like the Statue of David, though it's granted distorted as shit, and the penis leaves a little bit to be desired. But think of just like the broad shoulders, the tapered waist, the strong legs.
Yeah.
Harmonious proportions are, be it male or female, what society at that moment believes to be pleasing to the eye, not sloppy and fucked up.
Okay, so this
Whatever.
is a 5'2", good-looking.
Well proportioned,
Person?
nice.
Okay.
Well
Yeah.
proportioned, yes.
Okay, cool.
Harmonious proportions. So I think that also implies bilateral symmetry.
Okay,
I'm reading into it, but it makes sense that it would.
two legs and one dick. There you go.
2 legs, 1 dick, go. You win. Pass. That's how God decided it. Right? Hey, 2 legs, 1 dick. That's a dude. Go. Got a lot to make today. It's day 5.
It's not 3 legs and 4
jeez.
dicks.
3 legs and 4. What are you doing?
It may have been originally.
7 chainsaws and 3 brains.
7-chambered
That's Chris.
heart. Nobody wants that.
Wait, what?
Said seven chainsaws and 3 brains. That's Chris.
Yep, that's true.
That's an old
That's-
callback.
Oh man.
That's an old one.
Invoking the ancient Chris.
Yes.
The being, the harmonious being, if you will, which seemed to be working on the object with its back to the witness, was clad in a white one-piece suit that covered the back of its head, which Mr. B described as glowing like, and I quote, a crushed firefly. Which, fuck you, that's horrible.
Okay, well.
Why crushed?
Don't do that.
Yeah.
You don't crush the lightning
Yeah, I'm not
bug.
saying it's good
you
to do.
You know what you do? You put them in a jar for up to 15 minutes. You frolic. It's a summer's eve. You fucking frolic.
You enjoy it.
You release.
Yeah, that's the deal.
Even as a kid, I knew to do that.
Yeah, 100%.
He didn't crush the firefly.
No, I know. I'm not trying to throw Mr. B completely under the bus, but he did say like a crushed firefly.
We've all seen crushed fireflies. We
really?
all have not crushed fireflies, but we've seen them.
Have you been around the brutal massacre of fireflies? Because I don't recall this. Did you squeeze the firefly, Mark?
No,
Did you
I
want to
didn't.
know? Were you saying it was science in your head, but really it was a deep passion to kill?
Listen, it's not
The crushing of 85. Are you remembering this?
I was actually cutting my grandfather's lawn today and thought, God, Rob must be so mad at me cutting all of his green brothers down now.
Wow. Oh, okay. So adding to it. Nice. Just being a further douche somehow absolves your fucking myriad sins against the firefly culture.
Lawn
Nice
care
going.
is an important part.
Listen, I'm not. Listen,
week.
it could be like cutting hair. Who knows? Or you could be murdering shrieking
No,
millions.
I
don't know how it works.
No, I cut down a bunch of bushes. My
Like, did you
grandfather
pull them
needed
out by the roots?
removed. Yeah, they need to get taken out.
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Mark.
All right, fine.
Can
Whatever.
we get back to this? Because
We can.
right now I just don't know who I
All
hate
right.
more.
Mr. B.
Firefly
Who didn't
crusher.
crush fireflies or cut a lawn.
Mr. Boink or Mark?
You absolutely do not know if Mr. Boink cut lawns or killed fireflies en masse. You can't say that unequivocally. He might have
Continue.
done both.
Continue.
I feel like he did, though.
Are you talking as a producer or as a mass murderer?
Both.
Both.
It was then that the creature, apparently sensing the presence of the interloper, whirled around, revealing its long face, which was covered by a veil that extended from the top of its forehead down to its pointed chin.
Harmonious no more.
Well, still harmonious, just veiled.
We'll see.
The astounded man noted that the entity jerked back, seemingly startled by his presence, and that there was a distinct bulge in the veil at the level where a nose ought to be. The two beings stared at each other for a stunned moment when the thing suddenly began to vocalize in a string of unorthodox, guttural sounds that Mr. B could not comprehend, yet clearly recognized as language. Language. The language of love. You're right. It was then that the already shocked young man was dealt another blow when he realized that the words had not been intended for him, but another creature that had been concealed below the odd object, evidently making repairs to the craft. The squatting entity backed away from the device with a frog-like shuffle, then stood and turned.
Oh, we got two of them. Damn.
The second figure was dressed identically to its counterpart, but was smaller than the first, about 4'7", and was, according to Mr. B, less appealing in appearance.
Wow, this guy's real judgy.
He's French.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's all right. Well, I guess if that's
That dude's harmonious. that dude's a scuzz bucket.
it's fucking 4'7" scuzz over here. All right.
Its veiled head was larger and its body was slightly
Oh,
disproportionate.
he had really like weird, like short legs and like long arms and big feet and tiny hands.
You know, he could have been totally deformed, or he literally could have just been like chubby. We don't know.
Oh yeah, he's a little fucking chunky. Was he a thick boy?
I honestly
All right,
can't
everyone
tell
calm
you.
down.
Thick boy.
Okay.
Fuck's sake.
This being, the being, seemed to be as perturbed by the presence of this human being as its partner had been, and without hesitation grabbed a tubular object that was in some way attached to its stomach area.
Wand technology, perhaps? Okay.
Mr. B described the cylindrical device as being reminiscent to a flashlight. And he was not far off, as the moment that the phosphorescent fiend raised it with both hands, a directed beam of dazzling white light shot out, which, unlike the ever-widening spread of a flashlight beam, grew incrementally larger until the aperture was about 8 square inches. So like a pen light that just is expanding as a straight cylinder.
Yeah.
Weird. All right.
It then shut it off. Disturbingly, Mr. B realized that the moment the beam of light struck him, he had been rendered completely immobile. His ability to see and hear diminished ever so slightly, almost as if he had been sealed inside of some sort of invisible pouch, like Uncle Ben's rice, but without the perforations, I assume.
No, the worst.
Worse yet, he found it was difficult to breathe. The smaller being grunted something to the taller one and cautiously approached the paralyzed man in order to inspect the beam's handiwork. Satisfied of its effectiveness, the squat figure returned to its comrade, and the pair exchanged another series of harsh, throaty sounds. Mr. B noted that the first being seemed less agitated than its bucolic colleague, and that it clearly managed to calm the second one down with whatever it said. It was then that the stubby one waddled back to the frightened fellow. Once he got back to within 2 feet of Mr. B, the diminutive entity tilted its veiled head up toward the taller human and lifted the diaphanous fabric covering his face with its left hand, revealing a ghastly visage which would forever etch itself into the memory of this unsuspecting earthling.
Oh, you pulled the Jason.
Uh-oh.
Where he
Lifted
lifts the
it up.
mask up and you're like, no, gross teeth.
You're grubby!
You're gross.
Mr. B described this bizarre being as having an abnormally long and broad face with heavily tanned skin, high cheekbones, and a sharp chin. Its nose was extremely narrow and hooked downward, coming to a point like an eagle's beak. Weird. And although most of its skull was covered, there were no signs of any eyebrows, eyelashes, or any facial hair save for an odd, wispy patch of beard growing on its upper right cheek.
He had one part of a beard on the right cheek.
So just a pile of
weird.
beard.
Okay,
No
that-
eyebrows.
All right.
Probably a mole.
Yeah, it could be a mole.
or it could be just like a weird Klingon-y triangle patch of, or he could be in puberty, and that's just where it grew first, and he was just bearding out.
All right, could be.
We
Could
just
be.
don't know how this culture
Beginnings
does
of a
facial hair.
horn. I don't know.
Could be yeah. I mean, his face doesn't sound overly,
Well, it's not pleasing to us.
all right.
Right,
Yet.
but it could be that.
Could
Maybe
be
that was a
worse.
fashion statement, maybe.
It gets worse. But as unsettling as these features were, what would haunt the eyewitness was the thing's horrific grin, which consisted of a pair of painfully thin lips stretched around a jutting maw of otherwise normal white teeth. Mr. B noted that, in what was either a dark twist of evolution or the result of some grave disfiguring accident, the entity's upper and lower labium were unable to touch. So the mouth is distended. It's super skeletal teeth.
okay.
Its lips can't come together.
Right.
It just, there's no clothes in the mouth. There's nothing but this permanent thing that looks like a horrible grin.
Oh God. Okay.
It's a sight.
Like
I
Joker, like a rictus grin type looking shit.
imagine. That's a fair analogy.
I didn't know what a labium was, for the record.
I didn't doubt that for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I wasn't. I don't.
Thought it
Everyone
was-
knows what a labium is.
I
Come on.
thought it was a different part of the body. Never mind. Hey, yeah.
Unsettling as its skeletal grimace may have been, it would be the thing's eyes that would haunt the observer for the remainder of his days. At first, he believed that the creature's deep, black, unnaturally wide-set sockets were simply holes in its skull, until its left lid popped open, revealing a bulbous, slightly slanted, white eye, utterly devoid of an iris or pupil.
Oh God! So it popped its eyelid open,
It's
and
a
then it was
milky
Yeah, no,
white
it's worse.
ball
It
of
is getting
eye.
worse.
gross. Okay.
Everything's worse.
The enigmatic entity's already warped grin further distended, and it began gesturing with its right hand in what Mr. B interpreted to be a, quote, desperate and pathetic attempt to get this human to take in every disturbing detail of its face.
Like this?
Like he's doing it on purpose. Like, oh, look
at this.
Look at this terrible shit. Look at
this.
This terrible
Well,
shit.
You don't even know. Check this out.
Come on, you want the truth? I'm the truth. I'm the truth.
It's probably the voice, too.
Come on.
Oh, my fucking God.
I got a dick in my back. Come on. Come on.
Oh, my God. Now, it's not anime. Give it a second.
It turns into a tree. It's got a dick in its back. Credits.
Friendship was made.
The universe explodes.
We,
Credits.
we walked the road and we saved the world with Gundams. Congratulations.
Everyone's a blob.
It's every anime ever.
It really is.
Oh, fuck. All right.
It was then that the situation devolved from merely creepy to totally repulsive.
Oh, man.
The reluctant witness could only stare in disgust as a viscous globule of brownish liquid formed in the corner of the horrid creature, that's a quote, horrid creature's left eye. The oily tear made its way down its fleshy cheek before pooling into the side of its mouth.
Okay.
It would be a memory
happening?
that even decades later, Mr. B would be unable to relive without becoming visibly distraught.
What the fuck is happening? The oily maniac shows up.
I know exactly.
Yeah,
I know.
like-
Classic Hong Kong cinema.
It just-
so just this fucking filth tear,
Right.
this fucking Hedora tear fucking starts appearing in the eye, then it rolls thick and oily and nasty down the cheek and starts coalescing into this permanent widespread grin, and he's just like, get alone. Get alone.
So, all right, weird. He's got allergies.
I mean, it's
maybe.
it's not to say it's problematic. I mean,
got
we're
like a
being
w-
judgy. We're almost, you know what? We're being pretty judgy like
Yeah, no,
Mr.
we
B
are.
right
He's
now.
got a weepy eye. I mean, it happens. He's got pink eye, maybe.
With that, the
Well,
entity,
oil eye.
much to the observer's relief, released its veil, letting it flutter back into place. The being then used both arms to make, quote, eloquent gestures, encouraging the evidently now mobile Mr. B to follow him. When the Frenchman remained where he was, the entity repeated the gesture with more urgency, giving the impression of being distinctly irritated. Before this irritation could turn into outright aggression, the taller being, not much taller if you recall, only 5'2", but taller than 4'7",
Right.
who had remained next to the craft and who Mr. B now believed to be the leader, stepped forward, apparently intervening on the Earthling's behalf. Once again, its harsh, raspy vocalizations immediately seemed to pacify its irascible compatriot. It was at that moment that the veiled visitors abruptly turned away from Mr. B, returning to their, quote, apparatus. It was then, in what seemed to be an almost comic turn, the spectator watched as the now Abbott and Costello-like aliens attempted to climb up the side of their vehicle with great difficulty, slipping and stumbling.
So they can't get back in their
Oh, it's like
craft.
So it's some
Skit now.
Buster Keaton type shit.
Yeah.
It's some
Like-
fucking old school silent film antics.
So it's a weird way to get into an aircraft, but all right, whatever.
Like, how are we doing it? Finally, one pushed the other up to the top of the domed craft, while the first reached down to help its partner scramble aboard.
This is not the A-team.
This is why you teleport.
Yeah,
Because
this
you
is
look like an
C-team.
asshole in front of the Earthling.
yeah.
And he's a Frenchman to boot, so you know he's judging.
He's judging the
like,
fuck
oh,
outta
you
ya."
fucking tools.
So, all right, yeah, this is dumb. All right.
Their mission accomplished, Mr. B watched as the duo disappeared into the machine, but was unsure whether they had entered some unseen portal or simply vanished. He did, however, remember hearing, and this is another quote, the dry noise of metal closing. I've never thought of metal closing as dry. But I get it. The scrape. The
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's what I assume it is, which indicates that some kind of physical ingress was sealed.
So they had some weird, like, shitty hatch.
I guess.
Because the description of the ship, it's not very big, and there's a dome on top of the dome, so they must have climbed on top of it,
Dome on the dome.
fucking went around the other side, and then opened it up, and then jumped in, and boop, there you go.
Sure sounds that way.
Yeah, what a bummer. All right.
A moment later, the bystander heard what he compared to the metallic scraping sound of, and again, a vivid image, thank you, France, of a hand passed on a piece of corrugated iron.
Okay.
We can all imagine that. Huh? We've all touched corrugated iron
With your hand.
with our hands,
Okay, sure.
Passing.
gently and
On it.
lovingly,
Yeah, I'm on
to
board.
create
Totally.
a soft metallic scraping sound.
Okay, cool.
Or not. And if you haven't, then I guess you're just going to have to learn to
Yeah,
live
you're
with
fucking
that.
up.
Yeah, I mean, you're not living life to its fullest.
At this point, he passed out cold. Boom. Just like that.
Okay, weird.
Audi. Like Kurt Gowdy.
Okay.
It's unclear whether this was simply due to the cumulative shock of his encounter or if there may be another cause, perhaps having to do with the energies exuded by the now audible craft. Unfortunately, the answer to this question would never manifest. Just moments later, Mr. B regained consciousness, in time to see that the golden luminous object was no longer on the ground, but was now hovering approximately 30 feet in the air and between 60 and 230 feet away. Of course, this is all translated from meters. Spinning in a counterclockwise motion and making a noise that the observer compared to the soft hum of a fan. An odd but indefinable scent lingered in the air. The witness was surprised to note that the machine had lost its luminosity and was now dull gray in color, allowing him to clearly make out the shape of the device. Here is how Chassin reported it in the FSR. The shape of the craft was, moreover, now totally different from what he had observed when it was on the ground. The machine was now edge on to him, and he recalls its precise details. On the outer periphery, the machine had 3 or 4 ripples resembling stiffeners. I do not know what a stiffener is.
Yeah, I'm like, what is
I googled a stiffener. It was not
like
that.
a fin or like a spoiler or something? I don't know.
I just don't know. I don't know what a stiffener is.
Okay.
At half the radius, there was a smaller bulge. And then in the center on the top came the second and larger bulge, which was apparently the cabin. I understand all of those words, but I can't make a mental picture.
I can't picture it. Yeah.
I cannot do that either.
There's like a smaller one, like halfway to the
maybe
bigger
like
one in the
like-
center.
Like a disc and then a bulge and then another bulge on top that is the cockpit.
I picture it like
Yeah.
you're saying is it's half, like from the edge halfway to the center. There was a
Is there-
smaller ball,
Right.
and then in the middle there's a bigger one.
That makes sense.
Oh, gotcha.
That from the way he's explaining, because this is half the radius. That would be halfway to the center.
It makes sense.
Was a small bulge and the bulge,
Right.
and then the center was the bigger one.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds good to me.
Oh, shit. I don't know. I was seeing 2 stacked bulges like a layer cake that gets smaller as it gets to the top, but what Chris says makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. The 2 illuminated portals were on one of the 2 bulges, or maybe both. He was a little unclear about that. Monsieur B had the impression that the central cabin was not rotating at the same rate as the machine itself. Moreover, it seemed to him that someone was watching him from behind one of the portals, and the person doing the watching had no veil over his face. Now, that's a hell of a fucking sight at 230 to 160 feet
Yeah.
away.
To see someone looking at you? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you might be able to discern a vague impression of a face,
Yeah,
but yeah. So I don't know. Fascinated by what he was seeing, Mr. B was shocked when the vehicle emitted a sudden and violent burst of light, which, and I quote again, lit up the whole countryside around like a rocket in a fireworks display, unquote. The gray craft once again took on a gilded hue, so it became golden again, surrounded by an iridescent orange corona, which cast an eerie glow on the vegetation below. The UFO then began to spiral skyward, so directly straight up, eventually pausing at an altitude that Mr. B surmised to be just under 2,000 feet. The ascension took less than 5 seconds. So there, gold, spin, up.
okay.
The UFO, read that wrong. The odd witness then watched in wide-eyed wonder as a stream of sparks shot out of what was presumably the back of the craft, sending the vessel on a horizontal trajectory. Slowly at first, but quickly increasing in speed until Mr. B could see naught but the flowing trails of sparks it had left in its wake. So this is strange
Okay.
on a lot of levels because there's sound. A lot of UFOs, deathly
Yeah, there's
silent.
there's like a propulsion system on it,
Some sort of
too.
propulsion, and then the sparks, and then
yeah.
a contrail of fucking sparkler.
Huh.
This is not typical.
No.
But granted, in '54, different. Maybe it was different tech, different aliens, different elves visiting from Magonia. Who the fuck knows
Yeah,
what was going on?
it was definitely different elves.
It was definitely different.
Different
totally.
elves.
See you next week.
That's always my.
I mean, they were 5'2" and 4'7", so yeah.
Yeah,
Could be.
tiny things. Okay. The amount of time it took the stunned eyewitness to collect himself went unreported. But when Mr. B finally arrived at his home, his wife could see how traumatized he was. When she asked him what had happened, the only response he gave her was that he had seen something extraordinary. Nice job. Way to share with your wife. But
Yeah,
Yeah, I
nailed
mean,
it.
it's a
It's
great, it's a
54,
great marriage,
whatever.
Mr. B.
Yeah. The following day, Mr. B anxiously returned to the site of his encounter. His fear kept him from actually climbing down the stone staircase to the place where the machine had landed, but from his vantage point, he could see the crushed greenery, indicating in no uncertain terms that something of tremendous weight had flattened the grass. What had happened was real.
Oh, okay.
Got some crop circles.
Yeah.
Despite his conviction as to the reality of this encounter, Mr. B knew all too well that most folks were quick to ridicule anyone who has an experience that goes beyond the pale of their average workaday world. So he pledged to keep the incident a secret. However, the weight of this secret became too much to bear, and eventually, after nearly 2 decades of silence on the subject, he finally opened up to ufologist Jean Chassin. Although he understandably insisted on maintaining his anonymity, Mr. B felt it important to share the warning of his encounter with the rest of the world, that we are not alone, and we are by no means evolution's crowning glory. So goes the so-called new humanoid incident in France of 1954, as it was unceremoniously dubbed.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, weird.
This is weird and interesting because it's really not typical of a lot. Well, obviously, we've discussed this ad infinitum. It's not a gray encounter. It's not an abduction, as far as we know.
No.
Like, if he rolled into his house at like 6:30 in the morning,
right,
maybe we could start talking about that, because he did black out. And blacking out. So I should say that I shouldn't say it's not an abduction. We're not giving an indication it's an abduction.
No, actually, but we've covered, we have covered stories like this before, though, where people just happen to come across these entities working on their ships, like the Delta Dogs, or even like the Space Penguins up to Scumbia.
Yeah,
they
you're
were
absolutely
working on
right.
they were like kicking around their boots
Kicking
and
around,
shit.
doing something, whatever.
Yeah.
Stretching. Like,
so this
looking at
dude
the
just
field.
happens to come across these two fucking, I guess for a better word, dudes that are working on their fucking ship. And you got the 5'2" Danzig, as I want to call him, leader in charge, and then you've got your weird little veiled fucking, creepy guy, I guess, who's just like, yeah, I'm here to be weird. Like, he's just there to be weird.
There's
and
no
fucking...
indication that they both aren't equally repulsive,
Yeah,
with the
man.
exception of harmonious proportions.
The way he's describing this tiny dude, he's kind of getting off on being weird. Like, yeah, look at me, I'm different. Yeah, look at me.
You're right.
Here's my shit to my
One
mouth.
way to interpret
Like,
this
kinda
is
gross.
absolutely the way you're interpreting it, which is to say, like, I'm here. Look at my shit. Look at my shit. Look at this. Look what's happening. My eyes leaking. Look at this. I can't fucking shut my mouth. Look at me.
Yeah.
Fucking look at me.
Well.
Dude. B. Look at me. And fucking, and that's
Like a
all
weird-
fine and well.
That's a weird intimidation technique, though. It's
But
like,
he-
I'm
B.
fucked up. Look at me, B.
This makes me think, though, of like one of the more common non-extraterrestrial theories out there, and that is of time travelers, which is to say, they're humanoid. They're basically, humans,
Right.
maybe sub-average height,
Okay.
at least for 21st century, but not that dramatic.
Right.
Not tiny, not whatever. And what might happen to us in the future, in a post-nuclear, or who knows what kind of weapons that might be able to be developed
we're all
in society.
Danzig-sized.
And they come back
smaller.
and you're just this fucking skeletal, grinning, white-eyed, oozing fucking nightmare, and you wear a veil. Why? You're either doing it because of some cultural reason, or you're doing it because you recognize, and this might be in the case of this, that there's something that people will find offensive about it, or it might draw attention to you that you don't want drawn to you.
Right.
And as such, you're trying to prevent starting a fucking furor. But they were obviously wearing it amongst each other.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is just all guessing and pissing in the wind, as it always is. But it makes me wonder if they had some sort of standard of beauty that maybe was not being met for whatever reason, for whatever Star Trek reason, where shit goes awry and fucking it's the planet of fucking nuclear generators and there's a big meltdown on the Western Hemisphere, and all the people there now wear veils.
Okay.
But if he is showing himself in if going back to the time travel hypothesis, this is what's coming. Come see. Fucking don't let this shit happen. And then the older one, or not even the older one, but the ostensible leader is like, Ray, come on. No, you can't explain. Dude, he's drunk and walking home. It's the terraces of Cote D'Azur. Just let this fucking dude be.
All right.
He's like, no, he's got to know. We can stop. He's like, he can't stop it. His name is Boydus.
He can't.
Fucking leave him alone.
You can't stop it.
Name is Boyd.
All right. Start saying the mission wasn't that, but one dude was like, maybe I can do it on this mission.
Like I think there was
Because you can't change it.
shitting. I think they were really repairing craft. I think they were both genuinely surprised that the human showed up. I don't think they expected to run into anybody, even though they're hammering anvil to fucking nails.
Yeah, and I mean, it's fucking 3 in the morning.
Right. But you're saying the reason that where they wasn't to change anything.
No.
It was just you think this one
Just
dude
this
is like,
dude's
well, he's here. Maybe I can do something.
Maybe we can do something.
Okay,
maybe we can
maybe.
save the day.
Weird.
Maybe we can fucking 12 monkeys this fucker.
You know, we can't change time. Doesn't work.
Time
that
is
way.
time.
Yeah,
we look like
exactly.
this now. Where you fail. Be cool.
Okay, or
Try to
it's-
be more harmoniously proportioned and work out once or twice. Ray.
Lift a weight.
So lift a weight. Get some Kiss boots. So I guess skeptically speaking too, we could start with that. In fact, he was drunk walking home late at night.
I don't know when you walk home,
Maybe he came across a really cool fucking
Sober.
party or a really weird B movie that was
but
being made.
I will say this.
Oh, a drive-in.
It sounds like he stumbled into like a fucking like an Ed Wood movie out of nowhere.
It does, but with better makeup. I feel like I'm a nocturnal dude. I used to walk at night a lot, so it doesn't always apply. But when I'm walking home specifically at 2:40,
Yeah.
I am rarely fucking sober.
Never sober.
And so I don't know if Mr. B was coming from the local tavern. I don't know. I mean, the Riviera is probably hopping.
Could be, man.
Cote D'Azur might be
Yeah.
fucking awesome. I mean, the Riviera is happening. He's
Came
going-
across an independent movie.
It's true.
He's a man of means, obviously, because he lives up in this fucking fancy ass area, I assume. And he's just, being smart, not driving.
Maybe
home.
he stumbled across some crazy fucking art party.
All right.
And he's like, "Whoa, these fuckers are wild." And they're like, "Look at this fucking drunk dude. Let's fucking party with him."
Is this some weird proto rave?
Sort of, yeah, I guess, or just like a weird 2-man art party.
I mean,
mean,
it's France in the 50s.
It's like weird, like impressionist costumes.
I could see
guess.
all of this except for the fact.
Well,
I mean,
maybe.
it could be like fucking sculptors, and that's why you hear the fucking clang banging, because
Yeah.
they're not really fixing a machine, they're just building it. All of that makes sense.
Are they nihilists?
Yes, nihilists.
Yeah, like in The Big Lebowski?
Who intentionally
Nihilists.
burn themselves because
Yeah.
their physical beauty is not as significant as the outer beauty they create in their sculpture. And again, all of that is great, except for the fact that it was flying.
They are art.
They're flying.
But they are living art.
Artists can't fly,
You
except
don't
in planes
know
and
that.
helicopters and
You don't
jetpacks.
know that. Jetpacks. What a Patreon.
Dreams and whimsies.
So there's plenty of skeptical stuff there. Or again, though, I think an interesting part of this case is that he did see it had a propulsion system and it was shooting sparks out of the back
It really
of it.
did seem
Which
to, which
never
is odd.
really, we don't ever really get reports like that.
Sparks.
Well, you do, but not anymore, and very infrequently.
Back-
There are definitely people that have seen trails of things.
Yeah, yeah.
But shooting
both
sparks? Okay,
We
all
have
right.
seen people like the two ladies in Texas that saw the big diamond that was escorted by 27 helicopters. It shot flames down, heated up the car, gave them both radiation poisoning. One of which got compensated by the U.S. government, which to me indicates that it was a. It's a very famous
Why have
case.
we talked about this?
Because
though?
we usually do things that involve monsters, ghosts, well, rarely ghosts, aliens. This is just a UFO
Yeah.
encounter.
Okay.
Dude,
fine.
look, meteors look like someone threw a sparkler.
Sometimes they do.
True. Okay.
Like a shooting
that's what they look like.
I've actually seen shooting stars that were so big in the back of my mind, my imaginary ear, I heard the tss of the
Yeah.
spark. I know I didn't really hear it, but I heard it.
Yeah.
All right. So this thing, they can see the sparks. They can see what we're
So it
assuming
is
is the
unique, but
propulsion
not unheard
system.
of,
Yes,
is what I'm
it
saying.
Okay. I'm there with you.
So this is what it takes me back to the Magonia idea, the idea that maybe they're not twisted humans from our unfortunate future. Maybe they are or not extraterrestrials. Maybe they really are these entities that live on different versions of Earth that have the technology to come through, and occasionally shit breaks down. And
Yeah.
you got to fix it, but thank God you got the flashlight that paralyzes, dude.
Nah, you mean the wand technology?
Wand tech is always. I mean,
We
there's
have
a reason why probably wands are so deeply associated with wizardry and witchcraft and all that, and that's probably because these creatures that have access to this higher technology employ things that are cylindrical, tube-like, that allow them to do things that dazzle people, not only of our culture in the 21st century, but certainly in centuries past. And so the so-called magicians of our world tried to emulate it by grabbing sticks and saying, it's my wand.
We have seen plenty of enigmatic entities with wand
wands.
technology.
I know, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Maybe it's a legitimate
One of my
thing.
favorite ones being Varenish.
Yeah.
The two-head fucking big giant
the Varenish
fucking
tube
wands.
was described virtually identically. Granted, this one wasn't described at all, except as being like a flashlight.
All right, so
And of course, the Loveland frog.
you know what? You
wands.
already got me leaning towards Magonia, man. You got me leaning towards the Fae. What if we're talking about some fucking crazy Fae shit here?
It could be.
Oh, Chris.
Nah.
All right, there
Fair
it is.
enough.
I guess not. Yeah. No, at least we tested the theory out in the lab.
Yeah. Could it be fairies and there's sweet fairy craft, Chris?
Nah.
No. All right.
I'm
Back
open to the
drawing
possibility.
board.
I still am open to it. I like
still
the
am,
idea
too.
that.
Do they need a craft though? If it was, is
Why
the
wouldn't
craft
you use a
needed
craft?
or is it incidental? How many things could you attribute to the Fae that aren't a craft?
I don't know what you mean by that. That was a.
How many situations where you think, oh, this could be the Fae, isn't a craft, as compared to this that could be the Fae and is a craft?
Oh, because you're saying that. Okay, so
Do they need a craft?
Because do they
Why
need
would- is there-
a craft to travel?
Yeah.
Between.
I would say a lot of people would suggest no. But on the other hand,
That's what I think,
I
too.
would
Going
think they would
back
ha- I
to
would
Jacques
think-
Vallée
Yeah.
and Passport 2 said
Magonia.
Magonia. Fucking, there's a fine line between a medieval report of a floating house made of silver
Right.
and a modern day UFO report. There's a reason why it caught on. Now, I'm not saying I buy full force into this. I've never fully
I
committed
know.
to that. But just to entertain the possibility, it makes a valid point. I mean, they wouldn't have any context for space travel or technology in any significant way, people that lived in the Middle Ages. So if they saw a silver floating house, that would be exactly the way, the officer in Socorro, Mexico might describe the UFO he saw with people walking around, or any number of other 20th and 21st century UFO reports, because we have a different context for reporting it. And who knows, in generations to come, there might be another full context where people have teleportation fucking things that can move a little bit, but it's really not about the vehicle that moves. It's about how you move once you're inside of it. We don't know where it's going to go. But Chris is right. There's a lot of things that seem fairy-like that have nothing to do with anything that resembles a UFO. But that doesn't mean that things that resemble a UFO can't carry creatures that live on different levels of reality, but are earthbound, are earthlings as much as we are.
Sure.
Okay.
But then you have to give definitive definitions of what the Fae is.
Right.
Oh, it's so deep. Yeah.
Because then you're crossing some streams there, and that's fine as long as you define that in a
In my
specific
old
way.
age, I'm just reticent to throw things always into an extraterrestrial bucket.
Well, saucer.
Yeah.
Bulb in
I
the
know.
center. It spins.
Right.
Well, that's our
fucking
entire
takes
lives.
off. That's
Yeah.
the
That's
50s.
it's all my mom's life. It
It's
was
a
a
saucer.
good part of my dad's life.
It is the definition of a saucer. Yeah.
And all of that was spacecraft. Like from Charles Fort. Charles Fort introduced it, but Kenneth Arnold in 47 cemented it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ray Harryhausen with, Invasion of the fucking Earth versus the Flying Saucers and the rest of the things that came out. And Day the Earth Stood Still, which I think was very early 1950s, that just sealed the deal forever in concrete.
Sure.
Right.
That shit from space does this, and they are living beings from another planet. And I was fine to accept that for most of my life. And I'm not even saying I reject it. I think some of the visitors could be exactly that.
Right.
And when people say, oh, how could they travel that far? It's like, you're an idiot. Of course they could travel this far. Just because we don't know how to do it doesn't mean they don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
If you send an invitation to somebody in the dark ages saying, come 30 miles away for a wedding at 6 p.m. tonight, they'd be like, well, you on fucking crack? I'm not going to do this. But it didn't take but a couple hundred years to traverse that amount of space in almost no time. Yeah. And nowadays you could go across the world on almost no notice if you have an infinite pocketbook. So to think that there isn't some intelligent species that hasn't cracked the speed of light code is ridiculous. But I don't think necessarily that means that all of these visitors are from different planets.
No. I mean, I think in certain cases, maybe you could say this, lends to be maybe more towards that. But it's kind of so fucking weird because it could all be the same shit. Chris hates it, but the umbrella. It could all be the fucking giant umbrella of all. It's all this weird shit under the same umbrella of just whether it's interdimensional.
But why I would throw away ultra-terrestrial in this case is that if they really are fear-feeding parasites, then dude getting in his face and showing that shit straight up extra ultra terrestrial, modus
it
operandi.
It almost seems kind of
But the other dude
corny,
being like,
though.
"Hey man,
Yeah.
chill out.
Right.
This dude doesn't need this. He doesn't know why you're doing this. He doesn't get it. You're not helping him."
There's no,
And so it doesn't seem to me, unless it's like good ultra terrestrial, bad ultra terrestrial, where one's being the fucking dick, and it's like, "Oh no, it's cool." So the dude's like, "Hey, maybe some of them are cool, but I'm scarred for life, and they ate my fear."
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, maybe they needed the fear to power the ship. But to me, then it becomes very dangerous, as I said in our ultra terrestrial episode, and always say. It's the magic whale. It becomes the blanket excuse for everything. This microphone's not working. It's an ultra terrestrial. It's feeding on my frustration.
That's right.
It becomes difficult. And this could be extra. So what we're dealing with is a dude who hallucinated,
right?
A dude who's lying, a dude who ran into extraterrestrials who were just as shocked as he was, or a dude who ran into intelligent life forms that aren't necessarily from another planet, aren't even necessarily from another level of existence we can comprehend, which still makes them aliens in the sense that they're foreigners, and that they didn't seemingly have any ill will towards him, froze him because they seemed to be just as scared, if not more scared of him than he was of them.
Yeah, they didn't attack him. They just froze him.
And
kind of stuck him there.
They didn't steal him aboard, apparently. No. Him passing out is a little suspect. Like, I'd like to know what time he got home, and I'd like to know how far away he lived, because those are big factors. But in 54, even though he didn't come out until, like, 76 and tell his story, it's...
But he passed out when...
Someone asking about or missing time should have been part of the interrogation
he passed
process.
out when this was all over with.
Well,
they were in the ship leaving, and he was like, ugh, and he fucking bonks out.
And he wakes up, and then
he wakes up and they're floating. Which really does leave time for an hour's worth of probing.
All right, maybe he got the good old
technically
fairy probing. You never know.
Like I say,
fairy probing.
You really need to know if he, because the story, the way it reads, is like he passed out for 5 minutes, woke up just as it was hovering before it took off.
Yeah.
But this very well could be a typical... I mean, it's atypical in almost every other way, but atypical abduction in the sense that if he didn't pass out and just watched it take off, you'd be like, well, fuck, ain't this something? The fact that he passed out suddenly and didn't seem to be overly paranoid. I mean, he could still stand there and judge them. He pathetically tried to get me to look at his horrible face, blah, blah, blah.
His judging is kind of hilarious.
It is hilarious.
It really
it's
is.
So atypical.
Yeah.
The fact that he passed out really does leave the door open for a fucking abduction.
Okay. Well, I mean, so we've got fairies, aliens, no ultra-terrestrials.
But were they wearing boots?
Fairies wear boots, and you gotta believe me.
God bless it.
I tell you, it tells no lie. Yeah, there it is. I mean, I guess, I don't know, Christopher, where are you with this?
Drugs. Or...
Two-man art party.
Oh, maybe.
A two-man art party. He just came across these two dudes.
It could be some crazy French impressionist.
I'm talking about
paper mache masks.
We can't,
fireworks.
Yeah,
all kinds of dope.
We can't take out the art party.
So a drunk guy coming across an art installation and some fucking slightly more repugnant eyes wide shut style mask that can ooze eye to mouth.
They're living art.
People
die and live and die for their art.
Well, maybe there was some absinthe involved.
We've been taking
bad crepes.
Bad crepes.
Bad crepes.
Wormwood will make you trip balls.
We've been taking absinthe off the table for so long now. I mean, a lot of this could be people drinking that and just fucking... I think I've only had it maybe fucked up once, but I never really tripped balls.
But did you? You never
had
the real
not legit.
Deal.
Yeah, it is.
It's illegal in America.
Definitely not the same thing.
Yeah, have you guys ever had the real deal?
I know someone.
No, but we have a buddy that got a bottle,
really?
and he's planning on sharing with us at the first opportunity he can. We'll talk about that off.
Okay. Is this a buddy that we all? Okay, all right.
Yes,
it's a buddy we all
share.
know.
We share this buddy. Having been said,
really
I have had
balls off of it.
Well, I don't know. I've just never. I mean, the Green Fairy, the whole 9 yards. I'd love to try. I mean, I know you're poisoning yourself, but then again, isn't that what getting fucked up is all about?
Yeah.
But I've had the American kind, and that's
what I've had. I'm
not
sure.
Special, really. I mean, it's
I think
okay.
we've all
just a
been,
black licorice.
We've all been at a party where we've all done the shot out of the same bottle for years. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I assumed it
And
was
it's
supposed
anise,
to
like Chris says. It's not, it's green anise, and it's whatever.
Okay.
And I've never done like the full-on trip it over sugar, the Johnny Depp and fucking Go to Hell or whatever the fuck that movie was. The Alan Moore novel, Jack the Ripper. Help me out.
Oh,
From Hell.
From Hell.
From Hell.
Go to Hell.
Go to
Hell.
I was like, I know he's on to
Depp.
something there, but
Is this your Go to Hell with Johnny Depp and Dave Mustaine. All right, so Chris is saying. So Chris, you're saying dope drugs or art installation? I love it.
You're putting words in his mouth.
I mean, it's pretty much what he said. No, he did. He said
that's fine. I mean, it could be aliens, but
it's fine. It could be aliens.
I mean, you and I are in the
saucer,
fucking ferry boat, dude. We got our ferry boots on.
I don't think it's that. But
why not though? I mean, it's Europe.
I think
honestly, in Europe, I think the ferry have more of a stronghold there. I'm not saying that there's no ferry mounds in fucking Western Idaho. I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are like old-timey entities that can break through in the new world. But the old world had the respect, the deference. Icelanders won't build fucking highways near them.
It's true. It's true.
So I'm just saying.
Okay.
Maybe I just feel more comfortable in the the wilds of the Riviera.
Or also too. I mean, as far as the aliens, if we are just dealing with like we said, the not A team of aliens, this is like the fucking F team.
All right. So maybe listen.
Could be that they just don't know how to get their shit together.
Super intellectuals, but really suck at climbing. Like if their ship broke down and they weren't even expecting to get out in Earth 54,
because they got out of it. I mean,
well, yeah, it's a lot easier to climb out that portal and slide your ass down to work on the ship than it is to climb back up.
What a terrible design for a ship. How do you?
If the ship died, then maybe you don't have time to fucking put the ramp out or the fancy bullshit that you would normally use.
You know how to use a car door, right?
Ladder.
You know how to use a car door?
But it's probably not designed that way. It's interstellar / dimensional fucking travel. You can't fucking judge them based on what they can and can't do.
I'm judging them by their engineering.
If they had to fucking fall out on Earth's gravity and fucking tool around with their Phillips head and whatever the fuck they were doing, and then they had to get back in the old-fashioned way because they didn't have their ladder already extended and no remote control, then they did what they had to do. And maybe they looked like an asshole in front of Mr. B. And maybe they were embarrassed. And maybe they were like, fuck this. We're going to show them the sweet sparks and fucking peel out. It's going to be awesome.
Was it all metric and all they had was a standard set?
Exactly. Don't judge these poor bastards.
Son of a bitch, it's metric.
Son of a bitch.
Now we got to go to Harbor Freight.
3/5.
Get a whole fucking new wrench set. This is bullshit.
And then drunk fuck asshole stumbles down the stairs and they're like, now this guy? Now this fucking guy?
It's really just a situation of these poor fuckers they're just on the side of the road, can't change a tire. This guy shows up and they're like, fuck, now he's going to tell everybody.
So imagine this. You and your buddy are by a roadside and you're changing a tire.
Right.
A bear randomly shows up. Bad example because you'd go hug it. But a fucking coyote walks out and shows up. Okay. Now, if you have a paralyzing beam,
right?
Because this coyote's just looking at you like the fuck, but it could be rabid, it could be dangerous. You're in the middle of nowhere on a dark and fucking stormy night.
Right.
You and fucking your buddy are changing a tire. You freeze the fucking coyote. You try to do it, and it's one of those fucking weird ass. Your buddy is a race car driver, and his doors won't open, so you got to jump through the window. So you look like an asshole in front of the coyote, climbing into the fucking car. Once you change the tire, which you didn't even know how to do because you're fucking 15 and you're doing whatever.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, don't judge the coyote, don't judge the tire.
All right. Well, I think there you have it. That is going to do it for the Kryptonaut podcast. Thank y'all so very much for joining us. We went places with that one.
I think other creatures get embarrassed too.
We really did.
We don't usually give them the credit.
Yeah.
Usually we think they're all superior and above emotions, but they're probably not all Vulcans. Probably a lot of them are just like us, shallow and weird and insecure and feel uncomfortable and just want to be liked.
Yeah, maybe.
And then you land in France.
Yeah.
Fucking idiot.
In the 50s.
Son of a bitch. Son of a bitch.
Mid-50s France, you sons of bitches.
As always, the Instas and the Twitters and the Facebooks, hit us up there. As we mentioned at the top of the show, we have a Discord server now available to our $1 and $5 tiers. So if you are on Patreon or if you're thinking about signing up for Patreon, jump on. Get on Discord. Check that out. It is a fucking awesome time.
We are definitely going to plan some things in the future,
yeah,
too.
We're definitely going to be doing some Discord-only shits because it's super easy to use.
And super interactive in a way we've never been able to be before.
Exactly. Now we have like direct... We are literally chatting directly with people. So it's super fucking dope. HellerSpace.com Get yourself some back to school clothes.
I thought you were going to say clothes. I didn't know where
back to school.
Get yourself some clothes. A nice outfit for that interview.
Yeah, get yourself.
Don't be naked anymore.
Yeah.
Get some fucking clothes. Oh.
We got shirts, hoodies, all kinds of shit there. Check that out. That's going to do it. I'm pretty sure. Oh, actually, Paulo de Freitas Jr., his Kickstarter is still going on.
Okay.
For Bloody Perks. So check that out. There's a link in the description of this episode.
I like what I've seen. It's really great artwork.
Yeah, he
it's
sent us
really
art.
fun.
It's fucking dope. But check out his Kickstarter. It is super cool. Also, too, we want to give a plug to Steven Schreffler. His website is SSSCHREFFLER.com. We're going to put that into the link of the description of this podcast. He actually did a story where we make a little bit of a cameo. And that story is available on his website. I believe it is called The Mayor and the Bat Squatch.
Oh my gosh.
The story's there. It's actually a really fucking cool story. Everyone should check it out.
This is the second time we've been fictionalized.
Third or fourth,
right?
actually.
Really?
Yeah, we've been featured.
Oh my God, that's nuts.
We've been featured in it's an honor when people do this, when they
no
kind of sneak us into stuff. And we have a little bit of a spot in Steven's story that's fucking really cool.
I'm excited. I can't wait to check it out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So be sure to
Thank
check
you,
that
Steven.
out. And yeah, and if you are out there and you're working on something and you happen to include us, by all means, let us know, because we love this shit. We think it's fucking awesome.
It is a epic creative community, and we're just a part of it.
Totally.
So yes.
Totally. So there it is. Excellent. There you have it. Thank y'all so very much, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Mm-hmm.
Goodbye.
Everybody.
If you're happy and you know it, respect an alien.
That's not as catchy.
It's not.
No, it's not.
It's not. We could have
But
a clear
seriously,
moment.
you know what? When you're being abducted, you might think it's all about you. Sometimes it's about making them feel loved a little bit, wanted a little bit.
Okay, I'll remember that.
Appreciated.
Excellent.
Just a smidge.
Excellent.
Think about the other guy for once, Mark.
I do. All the time.
Don't kill it. Understand it.
Okay, thank you.
Take the probe for them.
All right.
Sometimes the probe inside of you is the probe to their heart. Think about that.
That's one to grow on.
Probe inside of you.
Oh, God. Is my inner probe coming out?
Weird, dude.
It's like a weird inner... never mind. All right, we'll talk.
Yeah.
All right.